Okay, hopefully we're live.
Fingers crossed.
Is everybody waiting or watching or?
Kayla.
Hey, Kayla, can you hear me, us, them, anybody? Party time. A little technical difficulty here and there, but you know how it is. That's no problem. Check, check. How does that sound? Does that sound any better, worse, different, hopefully better? Check, check. Hey, everybody. Oh, man. So, if I can't get this to work, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Well, I mean, Kayla can hear us, but
Yeah, but it sounds bad, and I'm not going to have a long show where everything sounds bad. Check. How's everybody sound? Maybe I'll move something around.
she says it's better.
Better in like an acceptable way, or like better in an?
When you said better, worse, etc., it's better.
There's like so much interference.
Is it from my phone? Definitely can hear you better. I hear feedback, but it's not overpowering, she says.
All right. Hopefully, did that? Whatever. Maybe that helped. It shouldn't be that soft.
I feel like it's coming.
Bear with us, please.
I feel like it's not coming from our microphones, but that could be just me because it sounds like you're echoing.
I don't know. Yeah, there's only one way to go, so maybe I can change it to this. Does that sound better, worse? Probably worse. I don't know. I need to get a shotgun mic or something because this is unacceptable.
Oh no, change it back.
Change it back?
Change because if you hear it, it's our it.
Yeah, it's because it's this now.
Yeah.
Okay.
It wouldn't be these fuzzy things, would it? Because we didn't have these fuzzies on there before.
No, it's a different problem.
Oh, well, she said it was so much better when we didn't have them on here. Because it sounded louder when we were talking just like this into the microphone.
I'm not sure what to do then.
Still quiet, but the feedback is gone.
So how?
So these are causing feedback.
I know. I firmly established. The problem is now how to get rid of that. And I've got access to some filters here, but they're not very Okay, how do we sound? Do I sound better, worse?
Indifferent.
Are we making progress here? Hopefully that'll do something. I added a nice noise filter, so I can boost the volume. Let's gain a little bit, who knows?
You sound better.
Okay, so after moving to the second computer, messing with all the settings again, maybe we're ready?
And the feedback's gone too. I don't hear any feedback.
Radical. So, oh God, we're off to a flying start.
At least they can't see us.
Who's here? Anybody's? Everybody here? Do we have 5 people yet? I know it's been over 5 minutes, but with technical issues, I feel like we should be granted a grace period.
We've got 3 likes and
at least that many people.
yeah. Nobody but Kayla's talking, so.
All right. Well, we'll give another couple of minutes. I'm sure people kept showing up, hearing the terrible quality, and being like, "Nope,
No.
So we'll give it a minute. If you're out there listening and not participating in the typing square, start loosening up, move your arms around, get up, get the blood flowing. I gotta get my notes ready. I had a last minute content shift because I was like, you know what? Got a better one. I was gonna do what's his nuts? Let me look. Something Nilsson. Oh, I deleted it all. Shit. Well, whatever. Something Nilsson. He was a strangler, and like 7 of the 14 people he attacked, like fought him off and got away, but never reported anything.
What?
Yeah, dick moves. But I found a more interesting case, or at least one that I'll have a lesson I can teach everybody about. Are we ready to go? Is everybody there?
I'm just gonna share it to my Facebook.
Just to hit the fade button on there. In the middle, like literally, yeah. Hey everybody, welcome to the show. There's Krista.
I'm here.
Let's say, I don't have the theme song. I gotta, well, I can't because I need to have a sound like an auxiliary source. Listen, it's a work in progress. Thanks for showing up if you're here. So I know what you're thinking. First of all, happy Flamingo Friday, hashtag Flamingo Friday. Second of all, I'm sure you're wondering what's different. Yeah, new pants. Got new pants.
New pants.
So let's start stretching. We're gonna start getting loose. So just like sort of throw your arms back and forth like this. Oh, we're just trying to let your tendons do the work, trying to get the blood flowing into your fingers and your elbows and all your joints using gravity and also centrifugal force of your arms. So while we're doing that, I'm going to start telling you about our true crime case.
Oh, snap.
I got to remember the dude's name. So dude's name is Craig Price. And his story is super frustrating. So now start side to side here, just boom, boom, bounce on your tendons, not forcing it. So Craig Price, in 1980, it was like in the 80s, like the heyday of serial killers, obviously. Let me get my notes and just run through them really quick as we're working it. So let's do nice big circles. Use both your arms. I got to hold the notes, Krista, so go ahead and do both of them at the same time. Nice big outward circles. This takes place in your home state, Rhode Island.
What?
Warwick, Rhode Island.
Not my home
Your
state.
favorite, yeah, that's where you live. Everybody says, where's Krista from, Rhode Island? I always say, yes, she's from Rhode Island. This takes place in Rhode Island. 1989 was when so we're going to have to jump forward and back. So what happens is, in 1989, this guy, I hate him so much. He's such a sack of shit. So he was 15 years old at the time. and he lived down the street from the people he murdered. So he was, one of these troubled kids, or however you want, rough family life, like all murderers and stuff always start. So, he was burglarizing, and according to some reports, he was under the influence of the dreaded marijuana, but also PCP, so like something actually real. So let's grab, if you have a stick, let's grab one of those, if you got one. So if you got your stick, it doesn't matter if it's whatever, as long as it's like roughly so big, whatever. You're just going to start doing your twisting here, working your shoulder, elbow, not too fast, not too slow. You don't want to pull anything, but you don't want to feel like you're just wasting your time. So what happens is this Craig Price character breaks into the houses and vandalizes, burglarizes, yada yada yada. So he breaks into a house. No one knows who he is yet. So whatever. The murder scene is 3 people are murdered. We got, switch your hands. We got a mother and 2 daughters, and it's like crazy overkill. So each of the victims gets like 50 plus stab wounds. One of the kids was like hit on the head with a stool, like multiple, like one of them has like a footprint on their face, like way overkill, like something went crazy wrong. So everybody is losing their mind, obviously, because it's like a small, whatever, it's Warwick, Rhode Island, small, they go nuts. So they go, since the severity of the crime is such, they call them the FBI. The FBI says, "Now let's do it out to the side. It's going to be off camera, so it's going to look like this." So, calling the FBI, and they send in a profiler, and I can't remember who exactly. It wasn't John Douglas, my favorite, but he comes in, they profile him saying, it's going to be weird kid with street smarts, with blah, 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 blah. So, moral of the story is that he lived right up the street from these people. And what I'm getting at here is he broke in, and everything he used in his crimes, like the murders, were, they called it weapons of opportunity. So if you have your stick, let's start doing big arcs. If you only have one, we'll do one side at a time, like this, just nice and whoosh. Let the weight of the thing sort of give you a nice, even straight. Anyway, so where was I?
Weapons of...
Oh yeah, weapons of opportunity. He didn't bring anything with him. So it's, everybody's thrown off. Like it was a burglary, because stuff was stolen. But the overkill was such, it was like, unless you had a personal vendetta, it didn't make any sense. So that's why it was so weird. So he took the steak knives out of the kitchen, obviously. Everybody goes, weapons of opportunity is a steak knife. And the thing about this case that I find interesting is that there were tons of defensive wounds on the family. They fought back, but nobody picked up a weapon in the family. So, he had no qualms about it. So he went steak knife after steak knife, and, he's in a fury, and he cuts his hands. And so one thing leads to another. Something points in this kid's direction. Remember, he's 15 at the time. So the police are like, "Hey, what's the cut on your hand?" Because they go to interview him. He's got a cut on his hand, and they go, "What's with that?" And he goes, "Hey, classic murderer, true crime thing that they always do is they'll confess to a lesser crime. I don't know why. It's like when they're confronted with something and there's like an injury or whatever, or there's an alibi they can't explain, they'll say, "Oh, well, blah, blah, blah." So in this case, the story was he punched a car window in the neighborhood and it cut his hand. So the police are like, "Why would you admit to a crime? That's a bizarre thing to do." So they didn't have enough to hold him, so let him go. They check all the police reports in the area, right? Nobody has reported any windows broken, and also nobody's even had any windows broken to report. So they go get this kid. One thing leads to another, and he confesses, and it's horrifying. I'll spare you the details, but there was an unsolved murder from the year before, 1989. Her name was Rebecca Spencer. So she was home alone. She was burglarized, stabbed 58 times with a knife found at the house. Weapons of opportunity. So what I'm saying is the moral of all these correlative facts is the idea of a weapon of opportunity is, you'll hear it, well, he didn't bring anything with him, it wasn't premeditated or whatever, it's a weapon of opportunity. That goes both ways. It has the dark side and the light side. So when we train with these sticks, a stick can translate to anything. My beloved highlighter, it transfers. So we train with a stick to get dexterity and strength or whatever, but it all transfers. So, get in the mindset, everything around you can potentially be used as a weapon. I mean, it's weird to think, but whatever. Self-defense principle. So now if you have your stick, and if you don't have a stick or whatever, if you don't have a paper towel roll or whatever, just if you're going to be doing this next exercise, what you're going to be doing is just making a fist that rolls and then down. So, and again, since we train with a stick, but if you lose the stick, you can still do all the same moves. So if you don't have a stick, which I recommend getting one, very cheap. So we're just going to be rolling down. So with the stick, it's going to be whoop, big outer circle and down, and then a big outer circle and up. So from the side, you can see it goes down, spin, keep your hand closed because you're trying to build wrist strength. Down at your side, zoop, and a big circle up. So we're going to do that for a little bit. So whatever. Moral of the story, remember, weapons of opportunity. Don't get caught in a mindset of a plan. If you are going to study martial arts, you're going to study whatever self-defense art, whatever you want to jump into. If this does whet your appetite, you want to jump into Kung Fu, or Wing Chun or Kempo, or you just want to stay light with the like Tai Chi, the softer stuff, or you want to get into like the big flashy, not practical arts like Taekwondo. Like every time you go into a situation, read the situation. It's, weapons of opportunity are everything. They are your eyes, your ears. Like if you can avoid something, do it. But if you can't avoid something, don't be like, oh God, where's my stick? Where is something? Just like look around, but don't get nailed down into something, because the more time you spend thinking or assessing, your time feeds fear, number one, but also it gives, switch hands if you haven't, with me yattering on, but don't get like tied in. Some stuff we're going to go over tonight. I'm going to, basically show you a couple different ways. I don't want you to get married to either one of them necessarily. I'll give you my personal preference, and all of this will come out in the wash. So I'm just yammering. Has anybody said anything?
Kayla says, I'm pretty sure Family Guy is set in Rhode Island.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And she says,
Quahog.
I love the beloved highlighter.
Yeah. So
the delay is ridiculous.
Is it really? So the I forgot. I was going to do a highlighter bit because I was going to get I got the yellow one. I have a pink one that I was going to come and show you like a highlighter kata, but I only have the one, so we'll have to wait. I've got some other fun stuff to show you. So put your sticks away for right now. We're going to do some of the aforementioned Tai Chi, just some moves like this, called part of the organ set. We're just going to do a few of them that I can remember so I can burn a little time, and then we'll start doing some cool hand drills. So if you've got someone near you, or later you've got someone who will get near you, you can try this on them and rewatch it because it's fun. We're going to do back straight, shoulders back, hands out. You're just gonna split your hands and go out to the side, palms up. Then you're gonna turn your hands over. Whoop, as you come forward. So they should end up palms down, and as you open them, they'll end up palms up. So you're kind of, I mean, it's not hard. Just watch. We're both doing it. You can only see one of our hands, but you can see. So yeah, that's going to be my point. Is like this dude was a maniac, and if you want to look into his case, I recommend it because it's interesting, and also it's one of the few true crime cases that has a semi-happy ending. That, because oftentimes you get those cases where like they were convicted, but it was like 8 years and they got out, or they committed suicide before the trial, yada yada yada. This one was interesting because this dude, since he was 15 at the second murder and 13 at the first, he was tried as a juvenile, obviously. He'd waited like a couple more months, they would have got him as an adult, for whatever. So, the community went crazy, and they were like, he's going to be in this home for wayward youth, essentially, for, the remainder, until he was
the rest of his life,
20 or something. And, everybody was like picketing, and they're like, no, he needs to stay, like he's a murderer, and yada, yada, yada. So basically, all of this hoopla was for nothing because he kept starting like he would make a shiv and get 4 years tacked on, or he would attack a guard.
So he wanted to be there.
I don't think he wanted to be there. I think he came from a troubled house and possibly had some mental issues because he kept being ordered to get evaluations and he kept denying, and that's what landed him in jail in the first place. It was like a technicality. So once they got him in there, and like he tried to escape, and it was just nickel and diming himself into a life sentence. So everybody's like, oh, phew, thank God he's in the system and he's never coming out. So they got that covered. But again, weapon of opportunity. He went into a place and, the family spooked him. Like he didn't know. He was like in the kitchen, I think. And the mom heard, she came in, started fighting him. I can't remember the course of events. But it was she was 39 and it was like a 9 and an 11-year-old. And they all fought him, at which brilliant, like that was great, but if you don't train, you don't know. And if you don't think I'm gonna have to defend myself, you're not gonna look for a weapon, whereas they will not have any scruples. Like the person coming at you, just pretend like they're not gonna hold back because they won't. So, you use everything around you and be on the lookout. Like, don't be paranoid, just look out. So what we're going to do is, so that was the lungs of the 5 organ set. So whatever, we're going to move on. So this is a fun open hand, you don't need a stick drill. It won't have any practical application immediately, but I'll show you what's up. So Krista, if you've got another person, well, I've showed you this before, but we're going to go over it again, and we're going to swap around so you can see everything. So come on in. So remember, we're going to always have our guard up. You're in a defensive position, hands up. Number 1, you want to cover your head, because if you are not fast enough to strike, at least your hands, or block, or whatever the case may be, at least your hands are up there to sort of catch and at least block whatever. So even if you're not going to be fast enough, keep your hands up, protect your head. So it is going to be a punch. So you're going to be taking, aiming toward your opponent's nose. They're going to block, parry, push down, and return the punch. So with Krista's left hand, she's going to block. So what's happening here is she's just taking it just a little bit off the center line, like 6 inches. That's enough, because if you're coming in, your face isn't that, unless you're really fat, your face isn't that wide. You don't need to move that punch very far to get it out of your face. So just a little bit, boom. First one's a block, then it's a parry. So you're going to give it just a little bit more to clear it. Maybe I'm still coming and you don't want to hit the shoulder. More of a coordination thing. But that one, next hand's going to come right over this one. It's like a little walk. you're taking your hands, you're walking up their arm to deliver them a package. So block parry, push down. So now my arm's completely out of the way. Punch, boom. So when you make a fist also, roll your fingers in and then put your thumb across the two. Don't make like a giraffe head like this. Make it nice and flat. Boom, there you go. So you're always going to be hitting with these two knuckles.
My nails are in the way.
Yeah, so girls' hands are a little bit different because they have big nails. But you're going to be hitting with these two knuckles. You're going to be aiming with this. So now my hand's up. So when you start with your friends, your family members, or whatever, do it nice and slow. Like plant this thing right there. So make sure that you can't hit each other, even if you wanted to. Got me? So when you first start, nice and slow, just block right off the face, come in, parry with the back of the hand. So it comes right over, block, block, parry, push down, bring the fist, punch, boom, and bring this one back up to guard. So you're going to do that, boom, push down. Let's start over again, hands up. There you go, block, parry, push down, punch. Good. So eventually, once you get that nice smooth motion, boom, boom, boom. Let's switch positions. So we'll start from the other side. Not that it'll change much, but just in case. Hands up and guard. Deliver the punch. Block, parry, push down, punch. So with my left hand, is this, after the down, try and get it back up into guard as fast as possible, because in a real life situation, it's going to be a lot less like like a fun little exercise. But we'll talk about that later. So that thing right there, she's going to always aim right at my nose. Every time you deliver a punch, whether you're doing a drill, whether you're striking a bag, imagine your target. Train with intent. Look at my nose. Whoa, that's where I want it. Block, whoop, parry, push down, whoop, punch. So it'll set you right up every time. So give it a little push, parry, push down. There we go. So my hands up. I always, gotta catch me. My hand won't stay up. So block right off the face, parry just a little more, push down, and deliver that punch and come back. Boom, block, parry, push down, punch, block. So now, once you are good with the slow, and you can go block, under, parry, over, push down, punch, start moving before the punch stops. Get me? Because it should be one fluid motion back and forth eventually. When you're ready, don't succumb to the terrible twos. Too much, too fast, too soon. And also, if you're an apt pupil and you're teaching someone who's slower at picking up, also watch out for that. I'm not saying she is. I'm saying if you have a pupil, like you're saying, hey mom, hey dad, hey aunt, uncle, hey whoever, if they don't, they may not be fully on board. So let's not start throwing punches super fast. So watch. I'm going to start throwing one at Krista slow. So she's going to start already good, and I'm going to start before it gets there. Boom. Hands up, always as quick as you can back to that guard. And also, as you can see, eventually you're going to start cutting corners like I'm doing right now. Because this hand always, my left hand, always up here. And delivering that punch. But this one I sort of, I know it's coming up here eventually. But I don't want you to do that. I want you to be up. Whoa! But, whatever. Go slow as you need. Take your time. Block, parry, push down, punch. Block, parry, push down, punch. Also, something to think about too. Let's switch spots. I like it over there. That's better. Anybody say anything?
No.
All right. Good. Means you're listening, I hope. All right, so hands up in guard. Here we go. I would have gone faster if I. Don't stop. In a fight, you're not going to stop. Also, you're way too far away.
You backed up just now. That was your fault.
I don't know about that. So, also, when you're doing this, really focus on those hands. What you're aiming for each time. The point of this is not only like motor skills, big motor skills, but you want to sort of feel your opponent. When you're going to be coming into contact with another human body, you need to know all the weird knobs and stuff that you can get a hold of and grab. So when that punch is coming in, and if you're still, while you're still going slow, this fits so neatly right over the back of the hand right there. Boop, boop. You got a nice little boop, bam. So you're always aiming, because the further away from the body, the less power you're going to have. So the more you train, you're going to be, you see like a really fast boxer, and they're keeping really tight, and they're keeping those punches in. You have the most power closest to your core. So if this punch is out here, or hopefully you can catch it before it gets out here. The force is pushing it this way. By the time it's all the way out here, it's pretty weak. Even if you're right here, you could probably keep it. Way out here, there's no way. Try and keep your hand right here, as hard as just keep it there. Oh. I'm gonna try and move it left to right. I'm so close to I'm hitting my mic, but since I'm so close to my center, whoop, whoop, try and keep it there. And not only that, but let's say I don't even want to move my hand, and whatever this is, keep your hand, keep it there. Whatever. This is just my arm. If I don't even want to move my arm, I'll just use my center. So I'll show you the camera. So just, whoop, I'm just moving my hips. I'm not even moving my hand until the end. I'm okay, fine, we're done. So we'll just keep going through this, nice and slow. Hands up in guard. First person to throw the punch. Block right, push down, punch, deliver. There you go. Boom. I sort of trailed off. So the first one's going to hit the back of the head. Next one, you kind of almost want it to be on top of one another. Or at least for me, I like to keep it nice and tight. Because they only have so much arm. And if you get way too high,
it's not going to go down.
You're not going to, like I'm telling you, weak out here, it's like a thermometer. This is red. This is yellow. There's nothing out here. It gets hotter up here. So when the hand's up there, boom, 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 I like to stay in this neighborhood, if not this neighborhood. But just for this drill. So once you get all that done, so in a in a real life situation, if you're well, doesn't it seem stupid, Dave, when a punch is coming in, to have to make contact 3 times before delivery? Yeah, of course. Yeah, obviously. That's why it's just a drill. You're learning the repetitive movement and then also do the other side. So, find someone else. Chris is left-handed, so I know we got to swap for her. But the moral story is getting those hands to keep them up here. That's what this drill is all about. What you would do in a realistic way.
Oh yeah. Krista's nails bring up a question. What's your opinion on striking with a palm instead of a normal punch?
That's a great question. Who asked that?
Kayla.
Okay, Kayla. Good goddamn question. So let's say you are a lady and you don't, whatever. Everybody's getting their nails did, and I realize, number one, some people like them different lengths. And other people just don't know how to make a fist. So until you're ready or comfortable or whatever, you just don't want to make a fist at all.
She says by palm, I mean the heel of the hand, by the way.
Yes, so that would be the hammer fist. So, 3 things. I'm fine with all of them. I'll tell you which one I prefer at the end. So let's say, whatever, someone's attacking you and you do, or swap it into the drill. Let's say it's not even an attack situation. You're just hanging out with a friend. Instead of wanting to do a punch, you can do a hammer fist. So if Chris is going to do a hammer fist, you're going to be starting up here, basically. your hammer fist classically start up by your ear, and you're going to come. It's our angle 1 in our stick fighting. So you basically, you don't want to telegraph it too much. But your hammer fist is going to be boom, right down across from the temple to the jaw. You're drawing that first line across the body. Angle 1. Boom, boom. But you're going to have to deal with a hammer fist a different way. So if you got your hands up, like let's say you got someone fighting, and you want to keep your hands closed. So if I do this, so nice and slow, it's a completely different monster. So it's going to take a different drill, and I don't want to go over more than what I've got. So Caleb, I'll answer that question about the hammer fist later. But the palm of the hand. I prefer this for striking over punching and the hammer fist. Number 1, because the hammer fist, you got a lot of meat right there. It's not a super effective, unless you've got like your highlighter or your Kubotan or whatever, then fine. I wouldn't do a hammer fist outside of like a kata or whatever. It's for me, your opinion may vary. For me, it doesn't seem like a very practical thing. However, the palm, so if you get your hands up, like in guard, not like you're trying to flip patty kick, protecting your head. So if I come in with a strike like this, it's the same thing. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. So, you know, it's, and again, what you want to do is when it's coming in, catch it before it gets to its apex. Turn your hips a little bit as it's coming in, and you're striking basically the nose. With your strikes, follow your heart. If you want to strike like the orbital sockets with your palm or whatever, like you can see dudes, and it takes no training because your palm can deliver a ton of force, and you don't have to worry about breaking any of your fingers. All you got to do is just, instead of punching, sort of work on that palm, and your wrist and everything take the punishment. But when you strike super fast, you know, just Google or you go to YouTube like you are now and see dudes just break bricks with their palms, break wood with their palms. I used to break wood all the time, break bricks or whatever, and I prefer doing it with my palm, because when you punch, if you don't have a perfect fist, which a lot of us don't, if you're not training all the time, you can really hurt yourself. You know, you're not going to feel it maybe during an actual encounter, which I hope doesn't happen. But moral of the story is your palms will take a bigger beating and will be a little more forgiving. And it's the same thing. It's going to be the same strikes, and you know, it'll deliver a ton of power. So if you have nails, open palms, totally fine.
Yeah.
So the main thing will just be keeping like your fingers sort of loose, because you want to keep, like, I can feel myself, and I know everyone else will do it too, like getting this one locked as I'm like, because it's weird. I'm used to doing a punch, but whatever. You can work it slow, fast, once you get there, you know. So in a real life situation, after you've done a whole bunch of this, you can start slowly into a little bit of a practical. So if Chris is going to be punching me, my hands are up. Whoop. You know, as it was coming in, I wouldn't do 1, 2, 3, and then punch. What I would do is, personally, I like, everybody's got their own opinion. I'll show you both ways. I like staying on the outside of the body. I think I went over this last time. I'll probably say it a lot. I always get to the outside of the body as opposed to the inside. So, you know, the line of angles, if you're anywhere in the arms, for me, there's, yeah, it's up to you. But for me, there's more opportunities outside, and I feel safer. So I'll show you.
Like running away.
No, I wouldn't. Running away is a different school of thought. You don't want to gas yourself out, because if someone wants to get you, and you run, now you're gassed and you can't fight. And even if you like knew how to fight, now you have to fight after running, you know, a marathon. So, but whatever, it's probably not going to happen. So don't worry about it. Just train, just train, just train. So, if she's going to punch me, I'm going to move off the line as I block, so I get a little more room. Like, this is nice and all, but let's say I'm slow and the fist is there and I'm like, aha, and we have this awkward moment where our eyes meet. The attacker realizes, oh, okay, so this got slowed down. I still have this and these. They got everything else. I like to take a nice little step, because what if they come and you're like, eh, and they're like, okay, wham. I like to be clear. And yeah, if you can, everybody with genitals can relate. So with your hands up, I like to step off, and while we're here blocking, let's not waste any time. In this, boom, 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 you got so much time. You're learning a lot. You're getting coordinated. But in a real life situation, this guy's not going to wait for you to be like, da, 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 bam. You want to strike as you're blocking. Hopefully we haven't gotten to this point. You've diffused it. You're like, hey, man, I don't want to fight, but it's already happening. So, boom, I'm going to step in, and as I'm blocking, I can either bring my elbow around. I can, if my hands are up, I can deliver a palm. If you are good with your hips, eventually, if you do all your strikes and stuff right, if you got that hip action and that torque, what you can do is, as you step, lock onto their wrist and give them a good yank into whatever you want, and because they're already going to be coming at you hard. They, no one attacks it like coming at you. They're already going to have that force. So if you can step off, add to it, even if you keep this thing, boom, you're going to be spinning and attacking your palm, whatever you want to do. I want you to get locked in. I don't want you to look at this and be like, that's what I'll do. Someone throws a punch. Anytime someone throws a punch, you're just waiting for. I used to do this, so I know you're going to be doing it too. You say, oh, I can't wait for someone to throw a punch at me. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that whole like Neo, and grab it and come in with an elbow and maybe come down with a hammer fist to the groin. Don't lock yourself in. Read the situation, because if you're trying to, the old saying, if you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. If someone has a gun, that's not a nail. You want to read the situation. If it's not going to work, don't. It'll take training, but eventually you have to realize that you're going to have to think on your feet. Don't get married to anything. Practice everything, but mix it up. And don't get married to something, because if you get married to something, if it doesn't fit the situation, you're like, why isn't it working? It's because you're not reading the situation. If you're trying to kick someone and they keep their hands down here and you're like, and they're just like, yeah, okay. And number one, they're not going to sit there and just block your leg from their nuts all day. But if something isn't working, or if you see a situation, read it. Don't be like, that's exactly what I'm going to do. So back to it. If that punch is coming in, and also you can try it with a bunch of different ways. If you got your hands up already and someone's coming in, you can do a turn and with your outer hand, or depending on if you want to, you can go on the inside. So if you feel comfortable and, like I said, practice both. And like I'm telling you, don't get, like if I'm like, I like the outside. If you like the inside, do the inside. So we'll do the inside. So if that punch is coming, we're going to step in, right? So now we're inside. There's a lot more vital targets. You've got like, the solar plexus. So you got the face, the whole thing. Out here, you got a little less, but this can't get you much over here. So that's why I like the outside. But if you love the inside, because sometimes some dudes do, like if they'll get in there and they'll do like their blocks, or they'll step in and get right in there, and then they'll go crazy in there. So it's up to you. I prefer the outside. Do whatever you want.
You do you.
You do you. But also in this situation, couple of things I also want to address. the prevailing like philosophy is if someone's coming at you and you're freaking out, or you've got time, is they create space, like create a cushion. There's a double edge to that sword. If someone's coming at you, you need to make that decision of like, okay, if I take a step back, I'm going no further than X, Y, Z. Because they'll just push you and push you and push you, and you say, you're going to have to make a decision eventually, or you're going to be up against a wall, and God knows what. So if you're going to take a step back and be like, whoa, stand your ground at some point, the sooner the better, because time will feed fear, and the more you back up, the more you're going to be like, I don't think I can defend myself, and before you know it, this probably won't happen to you, but make the decision now just in case.
And make sure when you're holding your ground, your weight is on your heels, not the front of your feet.
Yeah, so that's a good point. Krista's thing is she's always either leaning forward or leaning back. What you want to do is anytime you get into a ready stance, whether you, I recommend putting your, again, read the situation. No weapon, my recommendation, dominant foot back, so you've got most of your power on your dominant arm. Mine happens to be my right, obviously. If you have a single weapon, like a stick, like let's say, or your highlighter, whatever you got. Well, it's a little different with the highlighter. But anyway, like if you got a nice stick in your hand, I put it dominant hand forward. So this is your guard, and any incoming attacks you can deflect, because this won't hurt, and this probably will. Now if you got two sticks, you eventually get yourself two sticks. The prevailing idea is, for me, you can do whatever you do you. I put my dominant foot back, dominant hand back, weak hand up front, because this is going to do all your blocking mostly. So you're thinking about it as a sword and shield. The one up front, your front foot, always going to be up and blocking, keeping your head clear. Not always, obviously, you can do attacks, but think of it more often. The rule of thumb is this blocks and this attacks. You can swap it up, you can do footwork, but the fundamentals are as such. So you get your shield up here, and your sword back there. Like I said, we're doing empty-handed stuff mostly, so keep your dominant hand and side back. Keep your weight above, I say above your heels, but you basically want it to be right above your carriage. No matter where your feet are in the triangle, whenever you stand in a ready position, and you have 1 foot forward and 1 foot back, you're in like the first, this part and this part of the triangle. So whenever you swap your feet, the triangle up front, the angle up front rather, basically stays the same. And a triangle is super strong, and that's why we stand like that, because you don't get knocked over if your feet are just, what do you call it, parallel to the person. Mm-hmm. Like you have what's easier to stand, like 2 chopsticks or a triangle? And drink. So yeah, but you'll get all of this. Don't overthink. Don't sweat the details. As long as you're getting up, 1 foot's back, 1 foot's forward, even if you're doing it wrong. Like the good news is, if you train, your body will tell you, hey, move your weight back because your feet hurt now, idiot, or whatever. They'll say
you get blisters on the bottom of your feet.
You get blisters. Your body will tell you what to do eventually. You just have to either listen immediately so your pain stops sooner, or you'll be forced to change because it'll hurt so much you won't want to do it anymore. Mm-hmm. So just remember, when you plant yourself, you carry your frame, you got your 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. You want your body to be nice and just sort of relaxed. That's another thing. Just relax. Whenever you're training, just have a nice, go ahead and start throwing some punches. Yeah, just sort of relax. The way we do stuff like this is just like this. The TV will be on or whatever, music will be on. And this is a great sort of exercise because you don't really need to focus on what's happening after a while. Obviously, if I'm able to keep this conversation going and deliver these awesome moves.
Sick moves.
Sick moves, bro, they always told me.
My problem is when we do this is I don't relax enough. So after a while, my shoulders hurt a lot.
Think about, and I can feel it too. What we're doing here is, whatever you want to call it. I'll tell you what I called it when all the training I did back in the day. It's called sticky energy. So when you make contact, anytime when you're gonna like grab, gonna do a throw, always follow the tension of the arm, because if you got contact, you essentially have a hotline to their entire body. Like if she's punching and I, blocking, if she's going to make a move, I'm going to be able to feel it because we're skin on skin. If she wants to pull it away, I'll feel that pressure and be able to react. Or if she wants to go this way. So it's a barometer. The first one, I'm going to keep it sticky. So when this one makes contact, you're never losing that connection. It's like electricity. You want to keep that contact alive because no matter how small it is, and no matter where it is, you'll eventually figure out that if she wants to come and try and get that on my face, I'll know immediately. You have so many nerves in your hands, even if you want to punch steel all day, like the dude from Iron and Silk, you can still use this sticky energy because, whatever, cut off your hand. Everything, like your brain is a supercomputer. So don't let anything stop you. Like dudes in wheelchairs do this. It's for everybody. Oh, a couple of things I wanted to say. So, like I was saying, let's keep doing the drill here. So, like when you're doing this, obviously, remember, turn your hips. Every time, you use your whole body because realistically, your arm, let's say at best, let's say you're not super buff, you're not super thin, and you're not a huge fatty. What do you think a good estimate of an arm is? 15, 20 pounds, maybe? Obviously mine, maybe 10, 8 pounds.
Yeah, I'd say between 10 and 20 pounds.
Yeah. So you got, if you're just firing that like a piston, so, whatever, even if you're going to get in close, like there's a place for it, a jab is a nice distractionary thing so you can deliver the power. But the power has to come from your center, your hip, and your shoulder. And more important than that, it's a twist. It's never like a reach, it's not a stretch, it's a twist. Your whole body needs to come in and deliver everything from the ground, your whole body, up into that fist, your palm, whatever the case may be, your stick.
Or your highlighter.
Your highlighter, your tactical pin. Oh, so we'll take a quick detour. So I wanted to show a couple of things. We got over the highlighter, so I found this. I had this on my keychain for the longest time. It's just a little aluminum Kubaton. And it's exactly what it looks like. It's just a big piece of aluminum. You can get a million varieties of these. The reason I like this one, whatever, like I'll never have to use it. I've had it for 20 years. I've never used it on a single person. I was looking for a reason, man. I was scared. So the reason I like this is because it's a little thicker, and I like having that extra to hold on to. But a lot of the Kubatons you'll find on like Amazon or Century or wherever you do business, they'll be like those crazy butt plug shaped ones that are like beads, like they're so angular, and that's not even the worst part. The worst part is the huge ass spike at the end. I've got a weak stomach, and like this is even a little sharp for me, and it's not even very sharp. You can see it's just like a thumb. I don't even like that. I don't want to be breaking skin. Personally, I don't want to be breaking skin, getting anybody else's bodily fluid. I like mine to be as like nubby and dull as possible. I'm looking to knock out, not bleed out. Yeah, I don't want to. So there's the interesting way. I've heard it both ways. So when you're in a self-defense style situation, like I'm telling you, don't get married to like this choreographed like so that everybody around you will be like yay. Like fights are dirty and they're ugly and don't get into them. But if you have to be real, don't be like this is gonna be great. And
you're not putting on a show.
No, like it's gonna be awful. You're gonna hate it, and that's why I'm saying like to lessen the like I don't want to get into a fight. But if I have to, I was able to convince myself I would use that because it was blunt enough, and I would, like I said, I don't want blood. You call it defanging the snake. It's one way of putting it. When you're fighting, you want to defang the snake. And how do you defang a snake? You don't walk up and try to get those teeth out. You cut the head off. Get the head off the snake. You get, there, done. Another way that I like have been put out too is you want to turn off their operating system. It's like when someone's attacking you, you can be like, I'll break their arm, I'll break this, I'll break that, whatever. If you want to go with that that weirdo mentality of like, what if they're on acid or they're hopped up on whatever.
Super PCP.
The thing is, if you want to do that, like put them down, like knock them out, put out their operating system, but keep in mind, and this is something you have to remember, acquaint yourself with the idea if you are going to defend yourself, like you're going to have to hit somebody and it's going to be awful and unpleasant. So, like Krista will, like when we're training with our sticks, she'll hesitate because I know you're thinking you don't want to hit me and make that weird sound of the stick hitting my head.
Yeah.
You gotta sort of get over that. Like if it's you or them, I want you to come out of this, not them, because they're the ones coming at you, being like, "Hey, it's your problem now, man or woman, boy or girl, buddy or not." So this thing I really like. You can't really see it very well because it's so dark, but in Eskrima, like with the Eskrima sticks, the art is actually called Eskrima. The fighters are called Escrimadors, but they use a knife called a Karambit, which is basically just shaped like this. You can see the shirt there against my shirt. And, super dangerous, obviously, because you're flowing all these blades around. Looks super cool. And if I got some trainers, maybe we'll do that. I would never carry one because, again, I don't want blood on me. But this thing, I can't remember where I found this. And trying to find more of them to recommend them, I couldn't find if they are still being made. So whatever. I can't remember what it's called, but it's got holes in it for.
It looks like nuts or something.
Yeah, they're for bolts and or nuts. So like the plausible deniability of it all is that it's a multi-tool because there's a belt clip.
It definitely is a multi-tool.
Yeah, like if you pull this thing off, there's 4 different whatever. Moral of the story is, it's just a piece of plastic. But you could use it just like your stick, just like a knife, just like whatever, and it'll still hurt. You've got this nice ring over your finger to protect your finger, so if you don't want to make a fist or you got those big, long, lovely nails, this will also help with that. So there's a bunch of different stuff out there. Like if we're going to go back to if you don't want to make a fist or if you're hard making a fist, it's incredibly difficult not to make a correct fist over something like this. Because you have to wrap your hand around it, and if you keep your thumb under there, you're gonna know immediately something's wrong. So, whatever. Just practice on your highlighters or whatever. Just practice making a fist, or just in case you ever need it. Practice with the palms, practice with the fist. Do it all. But if you're interested in this, I'll point you in the direction of all the trainers, and if you want to see. We can do some stuff with it. Because full disclosure, I've been looking into all of this stuff again. But this time around in my martial arts experience, I'm falling into like the Filipino, like the Eskrima, instead of like because I've done Chinese Kempo, I've done a bunch of different, like the Korean arts, the Japanese arts, and I've completely been blind to the Filipino martial arts, even though I was doing Eskrima. Back in the old days, I just thought that the sticks were called Eskrima. So I've learned that Eskrima is the fighting style. It's with a knife, it's with a stick, it's with empty hand, it all transfers. You just start learning on the stick because it gets the idea of something in your hand. you get aware of it spatially, but you can put anything in that hand. You can put a knife, you can put a stick, put a club, whatever, a sword, a chain whip, whatever. But if you have nothing, all that stuff transfers. So I'm really into that this time. And also it's very high gait, which is easy on me.
Andy says, this is my multi-tool, for punching.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Plausible deniability will get you so far. Like, technically that's legal. But if somebody, like if you try and take it into like a place where they're going to pat you down, you're going to get some looks, and it's going to be a coin toss whether someone's going to, like they'll probably be like, nah, get the fuck out of here. If they know what they're doing, they're going to be like, get out of here with that.
But I was putting a patio table together, and I forgot to take it out of my pocket.
9 times out of 10, you're not going to go, 99 times out of 10, 100, whatever, of 100, you're not going to go into a place that you're going to get patted down or whatever. Like, it's something you slip onto your belt. It's not obtrusive. It's, again, like, but it's a toss-up between these two things, obviously. Like, if you have this on your keys,
yeah, it's a no-go.
You got to go through the airport or whatever. So, again, you have to read the situation. Don't be the weirdo with all the shit in his trunk. Don't try and like get something can't get in somewhere because you feel like testing it. Like, you should be able to defend yourself no matter what. Like, a weapon is nice. It is whatever you want to call a weapon. Is a force multiplier, is an equalizer, whatever it is. It's nice to have, but if you have no access to it and you have to read the situation and know, be prepared, do a bunch of empty-handed stuff, go through all these scenarios. If you have any questions, let me know. But just practice. Like, I've been out of it for so many years, and it's, if you can relax, it's easy. If you can relax. Let me see. Did I have anything else planned? Does anybody have any questions about either my Pierce story or any self-defense stuff?
Andy says, what makes it a multi-tool? D's. D's what? D's nuts. Punch.
Nice one. But, yeah, if you want to, I really like this thing. It's fun if you're one of those guys who likes fiddling with stuff, like if the fidget spinner thing hit you, or if you just like dicking around at your desk, this is a fun thing to have. And as you get aware of it, you're just sort of flicking it around and just sort of running through, because like this will do a hammer fist, Kayla. Like if you want to get married to your hammer fist instead of the palm or whatever, like a Kubaton, your highlighter, that's your hammer fist. But again, like sans weapon, I'm not a huge fan of the hammer fist because you got a lot of meat there, and I would rather have something else also take the damage. I also don't like touching people, especially like I don't like touching people in general. But like if it's a stranger who wants to beat me up or get in my face, I want to touch them even less. So like if you've got something to like not be like scared, but I'm grossed out by touching other people, other attackers, not my wife. I'd rather have something to deliver the blows and take the abuse should I swing wide or miss or whatever, because you can, in a fight, there's a good chance you're going to get hurt even if you're a great fighter, because again, all this practice, when it gets into the real world, the person you're fighting isn't going to be like, oh, I know this, and engage you in like, if you watch two Screamadors or whoever, all these dudes fight with sticks or whatever, they know all the moves, and it can be, a beautifully choreographed fight scene that's all being made up on the spot. You don't have time for that. You don't have the energy for that. Like, that's for sport. That's for fun. I love doing that. In this situation, I want to be in and out, and hopefully not even in. So if I do get in, I want out fast. I say, whoa, man, bam, 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 fast as I can. And so personally, here's my opinion. Don't spend your time anywhere except for the places you know are going to shut someone down. That being said, there is some controversy around the groin. so th- there's a lot of people who say kicking someone in the groin will incapacitate them. And having been kicked in the groin dozens of times throughout my life in different martial arts classes, I can say there are times when, yes, it will knock you to the ground, uh, but it's a wild card. Sometimes you can get kicked hard and not feel a thing. And that's in a classroom setting. Like, I have no personal interest in actually attacking the person, and they delivered me a kick to the nuts. So my interest in doing anything is gone. But the person coming after you, or the thing, or the dog, or the animal, or whatever the thing you're attacking, make sure it's something you know is going to work. Like the eyes. If someone can't see you, I don't care how strong they are. I don't care how whacked out they are.
On goofballs.
Yeah, if they're on the goofballs, if they can't see you, even if they have their hands on you, they can't see you. You have now the advantage because let's say, and I've done this, like not in a fight scenario. I'll tell you the reason in a minute. But if someone gets you by the shirt or whatever, and you get to whatever, they get incapacitated. You hit them in the nose, they can't breathe, and either they lose enough. I have no qualms about slipping out of my shirt. if they got me, I'm totally fine going whoop, gone. And because I had to do that once. I worked in a retirement home, and a woman with dementia got a hold of me, and she carted me around the facility. And I was like, okay, basically a hostage situation.
With an 85-year-old woman.
Yeah, but she had a weapon. So she's got me. It started like this. She had her weapon. Her weapon was a baby doll. But it was like one of the big ones with the hard plastic heads. So she's got this thing by the leg. It's a full-blown flail. So here we are. She's got her hands real like a death grip around this thing. I'm not going to try and like chop an old lady's hand off my shirt. Like what? But she was getting ready with that thing. Tensions were building. And she had been stricken. I think she had a stroke. And so her language skills are gone. So the negotiations are off the table. So she's got me. She's swinging this over her head, and I'm like, okay. Sometimes, like I said, I didn't want to fight. I don't want to fight ever, especially now. I guess an old lady who's definitely going to brain me. I'll lose my job, and I don't want to hit anybody anyway, especially not an old lady with a baby doll. So if you can, and I did. Finally I had enough because I was kind of keeping her busy also as a distraction because it was like dinner time and she had me and I was like, okay, everybody do your thing. I'll handle it. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Moral of the story is, arms up, I slipped out of there and I ran down the hall. So it was me in my my scrub pants and my wife beater. I was running through the hall and I was like, I made it! I eventually got to get dressed again. But again, you just read the situation. I had the luxury of being in very little danger, so the stakes were low. And that was my plan the whole time. As soon as she grabbed me, I was like, all right, worst case scenario, I'm slipping out of here. But obviously, you don't want to slip out of your clothes at work, even though I had a great excuse. So I used it in the worst case scenario. But again, read the situation. If she started wielding that baby earlier, you better believe I would have slipped out. But it was, I was trying to de-escalate. I was also taking one for the team because everybody had to get their meds and everybody had to get their dinner. But it's a perfect example of read the situation. Do what you can. Gauge it. Keep your head on a swivel. Look around. Don't be paranoid. I'm going to say this all the time. Don't be paranoid. Just look. Even when we're sitting here, I'm looking around, making sure everything's okay, looking at stuff. Maybe you recognize something from long ago on your bookshelf you forgot. Or maybe you look at it like, oh, I should get that fixed. Whatever. Don't ever turn it off. I'm thinking about that today when I'm driving to work. When you're driving, it's so easy to shut off everything. And just go into as long as you're looking ahead, your brain knows you're in between the two lines. Be active. Don't ever proactively turn it off. You will slip out of it. Everybody does. Everybody gets that middle distance, glazed eyes look. But try and keep that switch on. When you realize it's getting flipped off, work on flipping it back on. It's going to burn a lot more calories because your head, in that head is a brain, and that will burn more calories than any other organ, muscle in your body. So it'll make you tired too. The more you do it, the better you'll get at it. It's kind of like training. You get a little smarter, you get a little more observant, you get a little more critical, you get a little more fast.
My thing is separating the paranoid from the just being cognizant of everything around me. So like we went to the store, Ellie and I went to the store yesterday, had him in a carrier, walking around, cool. Went out to the parking lot, I'm getting him out of my carrier, putting him in the car seat, and I'm looking around. I got my sunglasses on, looking around, and I'm like, okay, there's all these people walking around the parking lot. I'm like, okay. Then I get paranoid that like the guy pushing the garbage, the carts are gonna.
You're the one telling yourself the story of the future.
Correct.
What I'm saying, don't be paranoid.
Right.
Paranoid people will tell themselves the story of the future that hasn't happened. Here's what anxiety is. Anxiety is telling yourself the story of the future that hasn't been written, you don't know. So don't lock yourself into the worst case scenario that hasn't happened yet. Depression is looking back and seeing it as a failure. Or, whatever. More like looking backward and being like, why couldn't I? That's depression. Looking forward and being like, that's anxiety. You're right here. Stay right here. So in the parking lot or wherever you happen to be, you start getting weird vibes, do something that'll make you comfortable. Keep your eyes on a swivel. Like if you see someone sketchy, like if you look around and everybody's just sort of going about their business, you sort of keep an eye. But, trust your gut.
Right.
Trust your gut and don't overthink. Like if your gut says, hey, everything's cool, still keep on alert. But don't be like, but what if? Like, just look. Weird people show themselves. And also be smart. Because the charismatic people who are like, hey, why don't you go over to my house for a beer? We met at a bar. Don't go places with strangers, number one. And if you go places with strangers, text somebody, call somebody, go live on Facebook, like I was telling in the last show. Like if you're going to be one of those people who goes out and like wants to go home with a stranger, like that's insane. That ups your chances like bonkers. Make sure someone always knows where you are. Like it's real easy now because true crime is full of cases that are solved by smartphones that ping every once in a while. But I would rather have you be alive still and maybe an awkward moment where you're like about to beat someone up and everything's cool and you're like, oh, that was awkward, instead of being like, well, we pinged your phone and the last place they were seen was here, and then their phone turned off, and then 3 years later we find a skeleton. We don't want that. We don't want a true crime statistic. We want you to be like, hey man, like let's say if you are like in the parking lot, like that cart boy is coming up and he looks gruff.
He was a creepy looking older guy.
Well, yeah, whatever the situation
with
may
a
be.
hoodie on.
If you feel weird and he gets within a certain threshold, like set a boundary for yourself. Say, if someone gets this close and I feel comfortable, get your hands up. Be like, hey, don't be like, stay back, I'm going to fight you. Just be like, hey, what's going on? Like, a lot of dudes, like bouncers, I shouldn't say dudes, I'm sure ladies do it too, a lot of fighters. But a lot of people who, like our bouncers or whatever, are expecting trouble. They'll slowly, cops do this too, they'll do this, they'll do this, they'll keep their hands up. When I have my beard, I would use that as an excuse. But like, when you're talking to someone or they're getting close or you're getting freaked out, if you got something in your pocket, like your highlighter, you got your Kubaton, get one hand on it, get one hand up. Like don't be weird. Don't be like don't slowly bring your fists up and be like, but if it makes you feel comfortable, just, up here, up like that. So if someone comes at you, you're not waiting for it or just like cowering. Don't turn your back on things. Like if something weirds you out, you get freaked out. Like there's where I work, there's a bunch of graffiti and there's a bunch of needles and stuff and a bunch of drugs and stuff. Because all the businesses in the parking lot are gone now, so a bunch of homeless people are trying to move in. And I see them all the time. I do not because the graffiti seems like there's a beef going on between three separate parties,
Oh my God.
and I don't want to be confused into an allegiance with one of them.
I'm not one of you.
But moral of the story is, whatever. I know there's literally no logistic reason to be attacked. I don't see, like, if you were to see me, I don't look wealthy. Like, they're not going to be like, hey man, give me your wallet. And I'm like, I don't even know what cash is anymore. Like, what are you expecting to get out of me? But whatever. When you're walking, you head on a swivel. Like, I don't stare at the weird dude next to me and like what's going on over there. But listen, just sort of look around. Don't make be casual. Just like relax, and everything comes, because when you tense up, when you get anxious, time starts ticking. When you first try to ride a bike, every second flies by, and you're trying to stay up and you fall over. The better you get at something, the faster you can do it. You can compress time. Like when you get your stick, when you're training with your stick, you get your stick up, you can do angle 1, angle 2, angle 3. You're going to go nice and slow. You're going to make sure your body is keeping those movements right. But the more you do it, the faster, the tighter, the better. Just train. Damn it.
Train.
I guess how long have we been doing this? Is this long enough?
It's almost 9. Yeah.
All right. Does anybody have any questions? Like, is anybody enjoying this? Like, does anybody want to see something different? Should we go back to the regular old show where I'm sitting down? I'd like some feedback. I like doing this because if I keep thinking that these will be a great opportunity to get some training in, and I think, yeah, let's just train and keep talking. But then I start talking and I forget to train. And so here we are, all my stuff's sitting there, all my plans flew out the window. I talked for a whole long time, so
we did some training.
We did a little bit. Yeah, I had so much more planned, but do those hand drills. Remember, get your friends, get your family. Tell them, this is self-defense. If they don't like, I'm not going to say this is like martial arts. This is more self-defense. It's principles over techniques. You're going to be learning the techniques, but the principle is do what fits in the moment and in the situation. So whatever. You're going to do this with your friends, your family. Remember, it's hands up, whatever side's coming in. You're going to move to the outside and deliver. Block, parry, push down, punch. Same with the other one. Block, parry, push down, punch. What?
Andy says, I enjoy both show formats. Do a cooking show.
I would be interested in like doing a keto pizza cooking show, because here would be the great thing about it. It takes like what, 20 minutes to cook, so I would have all that time to do jack shit and talk and not feel bad for not doing the thing I should be doing, because it's just cooking.
And then
I should be training. Yeah, I should be like, here's how to. Okay, should we do? Whatever. I'm not going to add anything onto this. Just remember, if nothing else, try those hand drills.
And the Tai Chi moves.
And the one Tai Chi move that I taught you, is your lungs. There's a 5-organ set. You got lungs, liver, heart, kidneys, and something else. It's been a while, guys.
Spleen?
No, it's like it's a big organ. It's not like the spleen. It's not the appendix. It's not one of your lesser known.
Your liver?
Liver. Did I say liver?
Lungs, liver, kidneys.
Lungs, liver, kidneys,
heart.
Liver, kidneys. I'll look.
Heart and stomach. Is your stomach one of them?
No, because your stomach's
intestines.
There's no intestine.
Well, that's all the organs, all the big ones. So.
Maybe it's the skin. The skin is the largest organ. A lot of stretching. Anyway, whatever. Here's what the takeaway. Train before you train, stretch. And train as often as you can. Look for, turn everything you do into an opportunity to get stronger, to get faster, to get like more accurate. I know not everybody has a child running around that's 3 feet tall, but Elliot and I will get into the room over there, watching the TV, and we'll wrestle. I'm keeping my guard up because he loves to smash his head into mine, or like, you know, something about kids, since they have no like concept of getting hit in the nuts, because until you are past a certain age, I don't remember, like I got hit in the nuts tons of times. I don't remember it hurting until it's like Gravity in an Acme cartoon. One day someone tells you, man, it hurts to get hit in the nuts, and the spell is broken. So anyway, having a toddler is a great like groin defense seminar. But whatever, do that. Like keep your head on a swivel, try and be a little leaner, a little smarter, a little faster, and you'll start picking up on stuff. Because if you are attentive, people will notice, and they're like, oh, that's, even if you're not clever, you can notice something, and people will be like, oh, whoa, nice looking out. You just have to be a little better than average, and people will be like, oh, what a miracle you are. People's standards got so low, so train, blow everybody away. Anything else?
Mm-mm.
How many people did we have?
We had 6 at one point, but nobody was really talking.
It's a hard thing to. Like, what are you gonna say? I mean, we're just here training. Maybe I'll do more more training on the next one. I want to talking, baby. Anyway, guys, Chris, if you want to hit it, we'll call it a night. Maybe we'll go back to the old format next week, and I'll put something on Facebook, like a little, like something that you can actually be like, oh, that I actually learned something, type thing. So we'll see.
I put a video on my Facebook if you're friends with me on Facebook.
Yeah, I want to do more double stick stuff. If you guys are interested in that, I would like to do some Indian club stuff because I love that. I messed my shoulder up and had to drop those for a week. But I'm starting to become a hunter that's chasing 2 rabbits. I've got to either focus on a screama or become really good at the Indian club, and I think I'm probably going to stick with a screama for a while. Mm-hmm. But everything transfers, so it's not like I'm putting anything off. Except they are heavy as shit. Anyway, guys, we'll see you next time. If you want to get in contact, you know how you can. There's links to merch and stuff. It's whatever. Bye, and thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.